Hey there, pardon the hat hair. I just got done walking my youngest to school. Aww, I hurt. Today, I'll tell you why I hurt in a second, but today I want to pose a question that's actually a lyric from a song. The name of the song is Uncommon. And the lyric says, what if the right thing were harder than the wrong thing, but I did it anyway? That's why I'm hurting today, because I promised you guys a full disclosure, full accounting of what happened with the Secret Watch giveaway over Halloween. And I'll go more into the marketing ideas behind it in another video, but today I want to give you the numbers breakdown. We gave away 1,008 copies of the book worldwide, so really excited about that. And I made a promise that when I hit 1,000, if we hit 1,000, which I thought was a huge long shot, that I would do a backflip. And I was thinking, you know, one of those things where you kind of bend over and flip yourself over, which I found out is a back handspring and is actually more difficult than a backflip. So I talked to my friend Matt, who's an incredible dancer, jumper, gymnast type person. He used to be a diver, professional diver, and asked him if he could teach me how to do a backflip. And he said he would. More on that in a second. I want to give you guys the rest of the numbers. We hit number 1 in the time management category, number 1 in the business life category, number 2 in the business motivational category next to Zig Ziglar. I didn't really think I could ever compete with Zig Ziglar, so I'm pretty excited about that. We were number 5 in business management and leadership, number 14 in business and investing overall, which is like all of the business books on Amazon. So to be in the top 20 for most of 2 days was pretty exciting. We bounced around between, I think 14 was as high as we got, 15, 16, 18, we bounced around in there. It was fun to watch me pass some of the other books. That was kind of cool. And overall in the Kindle store, we made it as high as 368, as far as I could tell. If we got higher than that, I didn't see it. So I was kind of sitting there watching it over those 2 days. I really didn't get anything else done because I was too busy watching all of that. But it was an interesting lesson for me. And one of the reasons why I did it was because I had set a goal for myself at the beginning of the year to give away 100 copies of my book. And when I do my annual planning, one of the things I look at is what ways do I want to be generous. And so one of the things I wanted to do is be able to give my book away to 100 people. I more than surpassed that, so I feel pretty good about that. But I also let it slip that if I did it, I would do a backflip, because sometimes Lisa's a little stupid. And then I said to myself, well, I did it. Do I go ahead and learn how to do a backflip? Or do I just go, oh, they'll understand if I don't do it? Because, you know, I'm certainly not built like a gymnast. You know, you're looking at about 250 pounds, and I'm 38. I'm not a spring chicken anymore, so it's not like throwing my body up over my head would be an easy thing to do. But that lyric kept coming back at me. What if the right thing was harder than the wrong thing, and I did it anyway? When I make a commitment, on any level, I like to believe that it's not just a commitment from me to you. It's a commitment that's a divine contract. And I've said, I'm going to honor myself in this way by honoring the commitment that I've made to someone else. So just like my marriage, it's not rainbows and unicorns and loving sunshine all the time. Okay, it's a marriage. And still, it's a commitment that I've made, not just to honor him, but to honor myself, my divine self. It's a divine contract. So when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do everything in my power to do it. Now, there's another thing that keeps coming up for me in all of this, and it's an inscription that's in the book, The Secret Watch. And it's a line, good enough rarely is, not enough usually is. And it's meant to be an admonition on 2 sides of the coin. The first one, good enough, is hardly ever good enough. Good can be acceptable. Good grades, good attitude, good presentation. You know, there's doing your best, and that can be good. But good enough, my mother used to say, and it bothers me to this day, that's good enough for government work. that's good enough for horseshoes and hand grenades or whatever. And I have friends in government who bust their butts and do an amazing job at what they do. And I don't buy into that idea of good enough. Good enough is a cop-out. Good enough is, I went and I had my backflip lesson and I got myself over a couple of times. I got my whole body up over my head twice last night, which is why I'm sore today. Because the first time I went over, it was kind of like a back roll. I got up, but I didn't get a lot of air, but I kept flipping, so I got over. But the second time I did it, I got plenty of air and didn't bring my knees in tight enough, so it kind of was like a back flop. And when I flopped, I didn't come all the way over, and so I landed kind of hard on my back, and so I'm a little stiff and sore, and had to lay on the trampoline for a minute and just kind of get my bearings, and so now my neck's kind of not feeling so great today. But I'm fine. Physically, I'm not experiencing, I didn't break my neck or anything like that. But when I was done, and I looked at what I had accomplished, I was really proud of what I'd done, but I also knew that it wasn't enough. That I could nail that backflip. I could get up on that trampoline after I've recovered, and I could get up there, and I could get the height I need, and get my knees in, and get myself all the way over, and actually land that backflip, instead of doing a back flop that left me a little bit in pain today. When we talk about good enough being a cop-out, not enough is a problem on the other side of that coin, because not enough easily becomes this self-defeating prophecy or the fence that you put up to keep yourself from ever doing anything. Well, I'm never going to get it. I'm never going to do it, so why bother? Or I'm going to keep working so hard that it's never going to be good enough. No matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, I could always do more. I could always do more. I could always do more. If you live between the poles of good enough and not enough, you never live. You're always a slave to those two phrases. So I want to live on the other side of good enough and not enough, because that's where life really happens. And it's really, if you think about the visual spectrum, it's like this tiny little slice of the whole, light wavelength. And that to me is kind of like good enough and not enough, is this little slice of the whole wavelength of life, of all of the things that we could accomplish in varying degrees. There are some things we're just going to plain old fail at. Failure is as much a valuable part of life as success. There are going to be other things that we nail the first time we do it, and we're just going to be amazing at it, and people are going to think we were born to do it. And then there's this little slice in the middle between good enough and not enough, where we don't live. We suffer. So live on this side and be good. Or live on this side and do your best. Whatever your best is for you, and find that level of success. But don't live here between good enough and not enough. Because good enough and not enough will keep you doing things with a very lackluster approach. Good enough will have you quitting before you've hit your prime. And not enough will have you going and killing yourself way beyond. Or it'll be the squelch that says, I'll never be good enough, so why bother trying? Either way, you're not living. You're not thriving. You're not growing. You're not being everything that you are called to be on this planet. So for me, I got around, and we got farther last night than I thought we were going to. I thought my first lesson was just going to be, how to jump, and it was. But I guess I'm a quick study, and so I figured out how to get myself over. But I didn't quite figure out how to get myself over far enough, fast enough, and so that's why I landed funky. And so for me, I could say, well, that's good enough. I've got video footage of me going over, and people will just have to be okay with that. Or I could say, you know what? I know I can do that. And that's not good enough right now for me. Good enough is not acceptable for me. Good enough is not good enough for me. Because good enough rarely is. And not enough usually is. And I'm not going to live here. And I hope you don't either. If you're being challenged with something and you're living in those poles, I encourage you to step beyond them and see what are the commitments you're making to yourself. and choose to do the thing that's right for you, even if it's the harder thing to do. And I'll see you again tomorrow.